So I think today's program was quite informative for all of us, in fact, and we had a great discussion and it was a fantastic session. Thank you.
Vijay, you wanted to say something?
Unfortunately, I have seen the unfavorable condition. In pandemic, we have learned a lot. But before pandemic, some 1 year before, not more than that, there was in West Bengal, even if today, as of today, dengue is very, So in dengue, there are very allopathic medicines are not working on dengue. So what we have learned that the papaya leaf juice, the papaya leaf juices are very good in bringing the blood platelets to the normal. So we talked with the doctors. So allopathic doctors were not, very conducive with us. They don't want to, but alternative therapies and the other doctors were very, it's very okay. So we put a board over there in our shop that we are selling papaya leaf juice, and it is absolutely free, especially for the patients who are having dengue. So we put up the board for at least I think 30 to 35 days. But unfortunately, we didn't got a single come-ups. There is a lack of awareness, you see.
But anyone who's tasted papaya juice also wouldn't voluntarily want to drink it.
So Avik is, putting up a strain again and again that there should be a commercial feasibility of the project. What he is putting. So we need to put in. And innovation and feasibility don't go along.
There's a marketing.
And I want to put up a question, and in the open house, that we have seen the first industrial, we are sticking to our topic, manufacturing innovation. We are getting a little diverted by putting up this discussion to business escalation. Business escalation and promotion is something very different. Absolutely, that is also an innovation. But we are sticking point again to the manufacturing innovation. So we have seen the first revolution in the manufacturing innovation in the late 70s. And that was in the Western world when the factories flourished. Correct? The second in the 18th century we have seen in the automobile industries, and the third in the computers. Why do India lack in the manufacturing innovations? Sir.
Two things, and it's a perspective of the experience I'm saying again. The whole element of entrepreneurship is missing. The zeal to do something. There are two mindsets basically. People who are job seekers and job givers. What we see in this country, the more of the training and the upbringing and the education system is driving people to become job seekers. The more we see as from an education perspective that there are job givers and people would be trained to become job givers. And one of the initiatives or policies that the government has started is Atmanirbhar Bharat, where it is actually encouraging people to become job givers. So that mindset change with the ecosystem of education which is promoting entrepreneurship from that standpoint will definitely make a difference. So this is where we are lacking from the basic premise of where we are starting, and our mindset is coming from that standpoint. And the second one of manufacturing innovation, to do an innovation first, you first have to get into manufacturing first. And to get that, you have to have that, again the journey beginning with at a young age. I today, after have settled my, daughters, my children, they are on their path of building their career now. One is graduated as a fashion designer, she will do something entrepreneurial own. And the other one is studying law and she would do something on her own. Once that is done, I see that there is enough surplus in my side but I've taken care of the family, and now I can do something which is innovative. From a standpoint of innovation on myself, can I do something as becoming a job giver? What is the next job giver initiative that I can look at it? So the whole perspective of the ecosystem that we are living in, the kind of upbringing and the environment that we are living in, and the way things are working, have been worked in the past. We have moved from one level of economic resilience, and we are moving to the next level of economic resilience. With generations, things are moving in. The whole perspective of, if you were to learn from other, the Industrial Revolution 1, 2, what are we talking about? It's all about how we are giving that economic empowerment to our people and creating an ecosystem where they are able to blossom and grow. And manufacturing first will have to come by this mindset of that you are going to be a job giver, and to become a job giver, passive income, and all those aspects which comes in the kind of an ecosystem where you have to have good people integrating together towards the solution side, financial muscles coming in place. You said innovation. Today we are talking about crowdfunding. How many people still don't know about what crowdfunding is all about when they are starting about it? How do we create that network? I actually have created a, sir, you use your way of communicating to people. I use my own style of really making that impact, and communication makes a lot of difference. I say, Sardaron ko asardar banana hai. How do you do that? That is how you create impact around it. Today also in this environment of innovation that we're talking of, and it's important that we have such forums where people actually exchanging minds. How many places we see there's a whole society in the country today is facing psychological problems in families, because this is just, we are talking of innovation, manufacturing as a topic, but how many people actually within the families itself are also able to communicate their problems within the family? Huge psychological problems. The forums of similar mindsets could be people who are lame and handicapped. Do they sit down and talk about their issues and how one has resolved that? Drinking habits. These are forums which is there in the global forum. I'm sticking to innovation. Manufacturing is definitely a subject, but it all begins with mindset, and that is what I would encourage such forums to come up with various topics on not only industrial per se, but when we look at ESG, if that is the way to survive in the global scenario, you have to talk. She's talking about environmental differentiators. I'm talking of social differentiators. That is the whole perspective of innovation they're talking of. She spoke about governance when she talked about processes here. So this is all how you really look at it. When you're looking at growth, how do you really bring all these elements together, which is going to create a situation of live and let live? That is how we will all grow together, taking together. And that is what is the need of the hour, where we need the gaps, we need more communication, more education, more integration of mindsets to really create that ecosystem where the growth is imperative. It has to happen.
I think to answer his questions, why India didn't have so much of manufacturing innovations, well, we were used to the concept of, go for something which is time tested. Don't opt for something which you have to experiment with. Don't experiment.
In addition to that, government reforms and policies play a very important role. The reason why India became an IT kind of a destination is because the government policies supported IT at one point of time. If you see the manufacturing sector in India, now in the last 3 years, the corporate tax rate has come down to 25%. Previously it was 35%. There was a lot of thrust on government, support on making Atmanirbhar Bharat, etc. Just to give you an example, India decided that we have spent a lot of foreign exchange on defense. We are going to make defense equipments in India. There's a company, Indian company, it's a PSU called Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. It is HAL. It is making its own kind of helicopters, etc., fighting helicopters, and it is now getting orders from foreign countries, and it is exporting the equipments. So that government policy, the government support to the ecosystem is also equally important, which probably is much more now than it was before.
I share an example. 2016, I remember 13th of August. I was in the Prime Minister's office talking to one of the joint secretaries there, and the concept of drone to be inserted into the country, that was a topic. I'm talking of, I can name the gentleman, Anurag Jain. He's the now Secretary DPIT. And I was meeting with one of my sector leaders and talking to him why the policy shift of drone technology needs to happen. The first question he asked me, and this is the country that we live in, I'm actually, I hope this is not in press, so the whole concept here is, when I said that drone technology, he asked for an application for it. I said, so from an agricultural perspective, we do utilize a lot of pesticides, and how the pesticides are done, it is all sprayed to the entire farm. You just spray the pesticides. Is it necessary? What you're doing is, even to a healthy plant, you're giving pesticides and you're dosing it with chemicals. So what is required? Drone technology will take a total scanning of the condition, of the health condition of the plant. It will identify with its OCRs or whatever technology term is, where exactly is the damage. And then again it will fly and will dose that particular plant which is going to make it happen. So what will happen from a regulation perspective? The quality of food, the nutritional value of the food will be better. The whole aspect of government spending which goes for treatment of chemical dosage and when you're looking at say pregnant ladies getting food, the women health, child health empowerment aspect, the kind of budget that you're trying to put in, that is not required. Immediately the food will be much better for that standpoint. So that is one application we said. 2016 and 2022 today, that we see after 6 years government saying that there is a drone policy, and they are opening up to some segments. And I think agriculture is something as a recent announcement that they made.
Surgical strike, we need surgical strike field also.
No.
Why unnecessarily kill innocent people? Do it surgically with clinical precision.
That's the need of the hour.
No, like the drone policy in and of itself will be a whole discussion, which it's something that it still needs a lot of work. I think there's a lot of mindset that still needs to honestly open up about it. And while there are security concerns, yes. I'll just share one little, one thing. The main reason, like going back to the question there, why doesn't manufacturing innovation happen, is because the factory needs to operate 7 days a week, at least 6 days or 5 days a week, which means that whatever I'm making, I need to be able to sell enough to be able to sell 5 days or 6 days of that week, right? I need to be able to use that production. And that's the biggest challenge, like at least from someone who's still trying to enter this entire manufacturing segment of it, is it sounds great on paper, we'll be Atmanirbhar Bharat, I'll make 10 communication systems and I'll have them ready. I need a customer who will buy those 10 within the bounds of my financial investment viability into it. Today HAL can make it and the government of India will be forced to buy it. PSU's made it, DRDO has invested technology, all well and good. Where does the motivation for the private sector to not go into that manufacturing and still be surface manufacturing? And I'm sure anyone who's into manufacturing understands what I mean by surface manufacturing over here. We have to remain on the surface, because at the end of the day I'm going to pay that factory worker, I'm going to pay that factory ka rent, I'm going to pay electricity. How am I going to recover it at the end of the day? Those are challenges I'm facing. We've taken up plots in Silicon Valley, which is the new IT manufacturing hub of West Bengal. I'm still struggling to come to my own ROI ki acha, in this many years I'll be able to pay back my own organization and hence get an ROI on that investment. There needs to be that absorption in the same scale that we are expecting production to happen from the private industry.